Welcome to our guide for casing in, an important final step in any bookbinding journey. Before we get started, let's go over the materials you'll need. You will need a text block or book block with a prepared spine. This could either be sewn or prefabricated as we covered in our previous video. Next, you'll need a book cloth for the cover. We're using paperback book cloth to better showcase spacing, but starch book cloth will also work. You'll need 2 pieces of binder's board cut to the width of the text block with an additional 1/8 inch height. You'll also need a piece of Bristol board cut to the same height as the boards and the width of the text block spine. Finally, grab your Jade 403 glue, a brush, a knife for trimming, or a bone or Teflon folder, and some non-stick material like silicone release paper for interleaving. Let's begin with drafting the spacing for your cover on the back of the book cloth. As you can see here, we've left a 1-inch margin all the way around with a 1/4 inch gap between the boards and the spine piece. That measurement might differ depending on the thickness of your boards, so be sure to adjust accordingly. A standard ruler will certainly get the job done, but tools like our steel rule set can be incredibly useful in drafting these measurements, allowing you to accurately and precisely measure and mark the distance between the supporting materials. Consistency is key when it comes to creating a beautiful and functional cover. Once you have each area marked and trimmed your book cloth to size, as we have done in preparation for this video, you will be ready to move on to assembling your cover. Place your first board on a sheet of non-stick material like silicone release paper and apply a generous amount of PVA glue to the board, working from center outward using a brush. Once the board is covered evenly, pick it up and place it onto the corresponding outlined section of your book cloth. Burnish the board evenly on all sides, beginning with your hands to apply pressure and then moving in with a bone or Teflon folder to ensure a smooth adhesion and to remove any bubbles. For this project, we'll be opting to use a Teflon folder, as bone folders tend to leave a slight polish where rubbed, particularly on darker book cloth like the red that we're using here. Next, lay your piece of Bristol board on some more silicone release paper or similar material and apply glue as you did to the board. This piece of Bristol board will cover and protect the spine, moving freely when the book is opened to prevent the cover from detaching over time. Adhere it to the appropriate section on your book cloth and burnish to attach. Repeat the gluing and burnishing process for the second board. Once adhered, you'll be prepared to trim the corners. To trim the corners, fold each one up at a 90-degree angle and mark the outer corners with a pencil. Using a straight edge, draw a line at a 45-degree angle and trim with your knife. This won't need to be perfect, as paste-down sheets will cover any small mistakes. Using your bone folder or Teflon folder, prep the folds on all sides to make the gluing process easier. Start by folding in the sides, gluing, and pressing them over the boards. Feel free to use more silicone release paper here to reduce the mess. At the corners, use the tip of your folder to tuck the book cloth in around the edges to ensure complete coverage when the top and bottom flaps are glued down. Notice when pre-folding those flaps that the angled cuts come together nicely to create a clean and consistent margin. Additionally, pay extra attention to the spine area when prepping and gluing the top and bottom flaps. The book cloth will naturally stretch slightly as you burnish, which allows it to conform evenly to the spine's indent. Once all tabs are glued, propping and holding the cover closed will help ensure that everything adheres in place. Many bookbinders will opt for bashing or pre-wearing the corners at this point to give them a more rounded and less jagged appearance. At this point, let your cover dry under some weight, using a straight edge or a piece of board cut to size to keep the indent of the spine flat. Here, we'll be using a book press to apply the needed pressure. Now that our cover is dry, we're ready to case in the text block. First, place your text block inside the cover and adjust until the margins are even on all sides. This may take a bit of trial and error, but it's essential for a professional finish. Once centered, carefully open the cover and insert 2 layers of silicone release paper between the paper of the text block and the mull fabric of the spine. Now apply the glue to the mull fabric, and if you're using tapes for the text block, make sure to glue those down as well. Before closing the cover, remove the top layer of silicone release paper to prevent excess glue from seeping through. Gently close the cover and use your folder to burnish along the spine and the groove. Be extra careful burnishing the groove, as sharper folders may puncture or tear the book cloth. Now repeat the same process on the other side of the text block. Once both sides are closed and burnished, place the book in a book press to dry, making sure the brass edges fit neatly along the grooves between the boards and the spine. It may take some adjustment to get the book perfectly aligned. Tighten the press gently to keep the margins even and let it dry for a few hours. If you plan on using the same PVA, be sure to cover your container to prevent the air from drying your glue and forming a surface skin. Once dry, remove the book from the press. You'll notice that the book opens smoothly without shifting the spine, which helps ensure durability. Before moving on to our final step, remove the existing sheets of silicone release paper. You will then add 2 more sheets of silicone release paper on each side of the book, between the first page and the remainder of the text block. Apply glue to the first page on the side facing the bookboard, starting from the center and working outward. Use 1 or 2 fingers at the center of the spine to help keep the book in place while you're gluing. Remove the topmost sheet of silicone release paper and press the cover down. You will then repeat all these steps on the opposite side of the text block. Removing the topmost sheet of the silicone release paper will help ensure that no glue gets on the rest of the book. Close the cover one last time and press down evenly to help dispel any bubbles. Finally, you will return the book to the book press to dry overnight. The even pressure supplied by the book press will ensure that the glue is distributed evenly and the paste downs dry completely flat. Once dry, your book will be complete and ready to use. Congratulations, you have successfully assembled your own book with a cover that is equally beautiful and durable for years to come.